I still remember the day like it was yesterday. It was the dry season, and the Hamatan winds had begun to sweep across the village, filling the air with the scent of dust and dry leaves. My uncle, Uncle Kofi, had just returned from a business trip to the nearby city of Accra. He was a man of great pride, always boasting about his success in trading and his ability to bring back treasures from far-off places. When Uncle Kofi arrived at our compound that evening, the sun was setting, and the sky burned a deep orange. He came with his usual flair, a new leather suitcase in one hand and a small package in the other. "A gift for my favorite niece," he said, handing the package to his daughter, Amma. She was 12 at the time, a bright girl with a curious spirit, and she tore into the package eagerly. Inside was a small carved figurine, no bigger than a mango, made from a dark polished wood. It was of a man with bulging eyes and an open mouth, his hands pressed together as if in prayer. The craftsmanship was detailed, almost too lifelike. "I bought it from an old man by the roadside," Uncle Kofi said, smiling. "He told me it brings protection to families." Amma loved it instantly. She held it close, calling it her guardian, and kept it by her side wherever she went. My grandmother, Nana Aqua, was less enthusiastic. As soon as she saw the figurine, her face darkened. "Kofi," she said sternly, "do you know the origins of this thing?" Uncle Kofi laughed, brushing her off. "Mama, not everything has a story. It's just a carving." But Nana Aqua wasn't convinced. "Things bought without knowledge can bring trouble. Be careful," she warned. We didn't think much of her words at the time. After all, Nana Aqua was old and superstitious, always finding hidden meanings in everything. But looking back now, I wish we had listened. The first sign of trouble came 2 days later. Amma woke up crying, saying she had seen a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed during the night. At first, we thought it was just a bad dream. But the next morning, the chickens in our yard were found dead, their necks twisted in ways that made no sense. Then, strange things began happening in the house. Pots would fall from shelves without reason, and the air grew heavy with a sense of unease. Amma started complaining of headaches and would clutch the figurine tightly whenever she felt afraid. Nana Aqua noticed and warned, "That thing is drawing energy from her. It is not meant for good." Still, Uncle Kofi refused to believe anything was wrong. "It's just coincidence," he insisted. "Amma is probably just stressed from school." But the coincidences kept piling up. One evening, while the family was gathered outside under the baobab tree, we saw Amma sitting on the ground talking to herself. When we approached her, she looked up with eyes that seemed distant and cold. "He says he is protecting me," she whispered, holding the figurine close to her chest. By now, everyone in the family was worried, even Uncle Kofi. Nana Aqua decided it was time to seek the counsel of the village priest, Okomfo Anane. Okomfo Anane was a respected elder, known for his wisdom and ability to communicate with the spirits. His shrine was on the edge of the forest, surrounded by tall palm trees and marked by a circle of stones. When we brought the figurine to him, he immediately grew tense. He took a step back, his face grave. "Where did you get this?" he demanded. Uncle Kofi explained, but the priest shook his head. "This is not an ordinary carving. It was made for rituals, likely abandoned by its owner for a reason. Such objects carry the spirit of their creator, and this one hungers for a host." Okomfo Anane explained that the figurine was cursed and that its presence in our home was like inviting a storm into our lives. "The child is already connected to it," he said, pointing to Amma. "If we do not act quickly, it will consume her spirit." The priest said we needed to perform a cleansing ritual to sever the bond between Amma and the figurine. The ritual would take place at the shrine and would require the entire family to participate. Nana Aqua was eager to begin, but Uncle Kofi hesitated. "How much will this cost?" he asked, still skeptical. "This is not about money," Okomfo Anane replied sternly. "It is about protecting your family." That evening, we gathered at the shrine under the light of a full moon. The priest lit a fire in the center of the stone circle and placed the figurine on a wooden stool. He chanted incantations in a language I didn't understand, calling upon the spirits to intervene. Amma was brought forward, trembling but calm, as Okomfo Anane sprinkled her with herbs and water. As the ritual progressed, the air grew colder, and the fire began to crackle violently. Then, something terrifying happened. The figurine started to move. Its carved mouth opened slightly, and a low, guttural sound filled the air. Amma screamed, clutching her head, and the priest shouted, "Hold her!" We held Amma as Okomfo Anane intensified his chants. With a final prayer, he took a clay pot filled with sacred water and smashed it over the figurine. There was a loud hiss, like steam escaping from a kettle, and the figurine split into two. The air grew still, and Amma collapsed into my arms, exhausted but free. The next morning, Okomfo Anane told us to bury the remains of the figurine deep in the forest, far from human habitation. Nana Akua took charge of this task, ensuring it would never trouble anyone again. Amma recovered quickly after the ritual, her bright smile returning within days. As for Uncle Kofi, he learned a hard lesson about the dangers of bringing unknown objects into the home. From that day forward, he became a more cautious man, always consulting Nana Akua before making decisions. The story of the cursed figurine spread through the village, serving as a warning to others. Even now, years later, people still talk about it when the Harmattan winds blow. And whenever I pass the old shrine by the forest's edge, I can't help but remember the night we faced the unseen and survived.